Namaste and welcome to today's episode of Future Leaders, produced by Today's Youth Asia. In the TV show, we discuss visionary ideas, talk about innovation, inspire youth leadership, and nurture concerns for a better world.
In today's episode, we have with us Mr. Santosh Shah, who is the president of Today's Youth Asia. As a part of college and school lecture series, he visited our college, Xavier Academy, and discussed about an important topic, that is abroad studies, its opportunities and challenges.
Today we are going to discuss about abroad studies, opportunities and challenges. Number one is, no matter what you do, whether you are going abroad for studies or for work or making any other decision, you should be very clear about what to expect and what not to expect. For example, you can expect a big library, resources to knowledge and curriculum and new inventions, various facilities in extracurricular activities, opportunities to meet young, talented youths from all over the world. So these are the certain things that you can also expect. You do not expect to make illegal money, which most young people going from developing countries do, is they try to steal their time away from college and start making money because the parents have only paid for 1 year. That's something we expect and go, but that's not something to expect, because when you are on a student visa, you are not supposed to work beyond the college permissible hours or something. So you have to be very clear what you have to expect and what you should not expect. Second thing is, you also can decide when you want to go abroad. It's not always that you have to go abroad for studies right after your high school, right after your grade 12. Maybe you want to do your bachelor's here and opt for master's abroad. Or maybe you want to do your master's still in your country, get some work experience and then apply for master's or PhD abroad. Maybe you want to wait until you're 35 and then apply to go abroad for studies or for work. So that's something also you want to decide, the age when you want to go abroad and see life and opportunities for yourself. The third thing is, currently in 2012, the curriculum of education will be discussed in many developed countries about how to change it, because the world's political dynamics is changing so fast right now that if the Western world holds onto the old curriculum, their youths won't be able to compete the same global trend that their parents and grandparents' generation did and took the position of the first worlds. And lastly, what I would like to say is, how do you want to position yourself in the work field? Like right now, if you see in Nepal, every sector is free of competition. For example, if you want to get into movie industry, there's no competition right now. In corporate business sector, you don't have a competition. Every sector you see, except for politics, politics has a lot of competition. Any sector you see, agriculture, forestry, there's opportunity in every sector. But if you leave the country right now, you will be struggling abroad and you will be missing out this opportunity that you have in the country available right now. So you can come later on as an expert in certain field and hired by your own age group who decided to take some premier positions in the country because they stayed back. Because expertise is something that can be hired, that can be bought. Leadership is something that needs to be developed. You see the difference between the two? So you would want to also think how you would want to position yourself. If you want to be in the forefront of the business or the profession, maybe this is the right time to venture into your own country. But if you're looking at becoming expert in a particular field, then going abroad and studying that subject thoroughly for several years is a good option.
If you are given to choose between opportunities and challenges of abroad studies, which one would you find is more heavier if you are given to weigh among them?
Depends how you have planned yourself to go abroad and study. Number one, make sure you have full scholarship, or your family is providing you enough money to study for your entire course. If they're telling you that you have to go there and from second year or third year you're on your own, you have to earn and pay for your own tuition fee, trust me, that's not going to happen. How can you get scholarship if you don't have the best grades? Prove to the college that you have leadership capacities, you're very innovative. So as I said earlier, do a lot of social work, work on new projects, spend a year or two, create a profile and tell the university that you are a worthy student. So if in 2 years, all the social work you do, all the innovative works you do, if that can help you earn $80,000, that's not bad, right? You don't have to rush to the university right away. After your 12, you can spend some time to understand your own country, your own people, your own issues. That's also a learning. Now, if you plan to come back to Nepal, you want to study the subject that has scope in the country in the future, in 7-8 years from now, or you can create that scope. For example, right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create an English medium television show that we can sell throughout South Asia. Nobody has done that in South Asia. So I can create that scope where young people in all over South Asian countries can participate. There is money in it, there is glamour in it, there is good works in it, and we can involve young people from all over South Asia. Now that's a scope that I'm planning to create with my team. So if you study, let's say, wildlife medicine or something, we have a lot of natural reserve and a lot of wild animals get poached and killed and trafficked. That's a field which is a global field. There's so much money. Just recently $35 million was sent by the WWF US to Nepal. So you see, the amount of money that are involved in this sector is very high. With whole climate change thing, you have so much scope in the forestry. You can go abroad, study forestry. We can have research centers in flora and fauna. Now we are rich in herbs. We have 700 medicinal plants found in the mountain regions alone.
What I think is we Nepali students are basically provided more with theoretical educations than practical and technical ones. So what do you think should be done to improve the same?
I had the same education, and I'll tell you what I did. I studied for 6 hours for my parents, and I passed the examinations with good marks. And for the rest of the time, I studied for myself. So I did double study. I would go to the libraries, or I even at some point worked as a security guard in a bookshop so that I could have access to new books. A lot of people say that at young age you have to have fun and you have to enjoy life. But my question is, at whose cost? This is the age when you have to work very, very hard. I'm not saying that your education institute does not provide you enough, but education is never enough. It's like entertainment, it's never enough. Right? It's never enough. You could watch a great movie today, you still want to watch another one tomorrow. So convert the same aptitude for education. And if you like it, and education does not have to be always giving exams and all. I bought like 500 books and studied them all. I didn't have to appear for exams for any of the books that I studied. Now when you study like that, it's more, you learn it more because you're not pressurized to learn it. And you're only going to buy the book and study if you like it. So that should work, I think.
We have many opportunities in Nepal where we can be a leader, but a lame leader. When we go for abroad studies, we'll become an expert. What would you choose among the lame leader and an outgoing expert?
See, being a leader and being an expert both have its own advantage. I also said initially that you want to decide for yourself what you want. Now, if you want to become an expert, it's not that in Nepal you cannot become an expert. Like we have the best mountaineers in Nepal without education. If you look at the wildlife conservation, we have a lot of experts who have never been abroad, who are very good at conserving the wildlife and natural reserves. If you look at the community forestry, this is one of the biggest examples in the world how the villagers have got together and conserved forest from being torn down. If you look at the rescue pilots who use helicopters, we have the best rescue helicopter pilots in the world. that is in Nepal, trained in Nepal by the Nepal army. So it depends on what expert you would want to become. If you're looking at becoming a nanotechnologist, of course you have to go abroad. If you are planning to become an expert in mountaineering, Nepal is the place to stay back, because there are a lot of techniques that has been passed over by generations. If you look at sculptures, the best sculptures in the world we have in Patan and in Bhaktapur in the world, and most of the sculptors have never been to school, and they still do a great job. One of the statues sell for like $10,000 or something. So now if you stay back in Nepal, it doesn't mean that you'll become a lame leader, unless you're going to politics, because politics is a different ball game in Nepal. You can become expert in politics in the localized way. That does not really seem to be contributing to national growth. You can become a leader in the sector of economics. If you look right now, our currency is still dependent on the Indian currency. And Indian currency, have a free market with the world. Nobody has brought that up yet in the sector of economics. Everybody who goes to study business study, they want to get an internship in the bank. That's all I hear. And which bank? In banks in Kathmandu that are struggling. How can you become an expert or a leader if you learn from the place that is failing or falling apart? And at this age, you want to challenge the system. I'm not saying you have to fight the system. There are always good ways of doing that. You can always do a presentation. You can always give your logic. You can always create a plan and present. And if you get rejected, that's fine, because that gives you an experience of getting rejected, which you will have many times in the life. At several junctions of life, you'll be rejected by your family members, by your society, by your workspace. You know how to deal with that. You're not going to go to somewhere and get drunk because you couldn't handle that. It's a part of life. So at this age, you want to try all these things. And I'm not saying that there is not much scope in politics. There is. But right now, it's in such a bad decay that anybody that enters into that basket, we cannot avoid from becoming decayed oneself. So we just have to wait until the entire garbage of the past is gone within 1 to 2 years, and the new avenues in politics will also open up for the young people like us. In Nepal, we lack innovation. We have this huge tendency of mass following. So there's so much of space for innovation in every sector, in medicine, in wildlife, and everything is connected to business. Everything has money. If you look at the mountain flight, that's one of the highest selling flight ticket. Very expensive. It takes off from one airport, lands in the same airport, meaning that you don't have to pay 2 different airports as a tax. Less cost and highest earning flight is the mountain flight, and people spend twice the money to take that flight. So there's money everywhere in Nepal. It's just a matter of a few young people like us taking the effort of being innovative in that sector. So this is the right time.
The unemployment rate in the US was 9.1% last year, and the economy of the US seems to be in a feeble state, and employers basically they throw an applicant's CV in the dustbin because those applicants came from an anonymous university. So my question is the college degree worth it, having to know that they acquire a substantial amount of loan and they carry on that big debt for a really long time? And isn't it better if they just stayed in Nepal?
College degree, I would say, would be important for 2 reasons. It gives you a technical skill. Second, it gives you the confidence. Third, you're more accepted in the workforce and in the society. But if you go abroad, can you open a company in your name right away in 1 week? If you go abroad, can you start a non-profit like a big foundation by being on a student visa? Can you do that when you're in your own country? Can you go to morning classes to a college and still run a company in your own name, or start a non-profit and do that? you can still do it. In 4 years, while you finish your college degree, you also have 4 years of experience working in a business. You can take it side by side. You may plan not to be over ambitious, so you don't lose a lot of money in the business if you're not making any profit. And it's better because rather than starting a big business and losing a lot of money if that's what's going to happen, it's better to lose the small money and learn the tricks of the trade about how you would lose it, so that you don't lose a bigger chunk of it. You can register a company in Nepal for 10,000 rupees. Do you know that? You can run a company through your laptop nowadays and a cell phone. It's no longer you require 10 million rupees to start a company. Right? Non-profit, you can start with 7 of you getting together and just raising some money from your own family and members and friends and society. And you can start doing small events like cleaning the streets or going to a community and taking a microphone and speaking to them on any awareness campaign. The UN office is right here with 22 agencies. Young people like us have access to the UN. 22, you don't have to go to New York headquarters to have access to the UN. It's right in Pulchok. You can write a letter asking for an appointment. You can go and discuss a concept with them to run your nonprofit, and somebody will respond to you. So we have to see what we have in the country and how we can develop ourselves as an expert. Right? Somebody has to be the first one. Right? Somebody has to be the first one. Nobody has done it. It doesn't sound encouraging. Nobody has done it. Maybe it sounds encouraging because if you are the first one to do it, right, you'll have a name, fame, and probably money for the rest of your life with that. And there are at least 1,000 different sectors available in the country today.
Speaking about what is there in our country, taking an example in the last, I think it's been around 2 or 3 years, piloting school had opened up, taken the students' money, and then suddenly closed down without returning the students' money. And now still the parents are saying the money has not been received till now. And in our own country too, although yeah, it is a free country, but still the citizens are facing problems. Now again, it's been a few years that the British visa taking applicants, it has gone up, but the ones which are accepted is quite low, because many students from Nepal went to England and then ended up having psychological trauma instead, because the college there suddenly closed down. So the thing is, when we are going abroad for studying, how can we be sure that a college is good? How can we choose a right college for us? And then another question is, why isn't the situation improving in Nepal? Because taking the example of the piloting school, still nothing is happening in our country. So what do you have to say about it?
You have 2 questions. One is, how do we find out that if you're going abroad, the college is a genuine college or not? So the best thing is call the embassy. If you're going to the US, send a letter or a fax or an email to the US embassy asking, is this a registered college? Is this a genuine college? If you're going to Malaysia, ask the Malaysian embassy to tell you. And the embassy can always tell you, it's their duty to respond to our inquiry about their country. No matter how much you trust your consultants or advisors, it doesn't hurt to cross-check with any embassy about the genuinity of that college, unless it's Harvard or Oxford or JNU, that you are already aware of. But sometimes you hear all these unknown new names. It doesn't hurt to cross-check. If you go to a country that does not have embassy in Nepal, then if you are at risk, it's very difficult for your family here to rescue you, because then we have to rely on embassy in a third country. Right, so you want to choose the country that has an embassy in Nepal. So if you're in trouble, we can always call up the embassy and rescue you. That is in case of trouble. Come to your first question unfortunately, until now, we are a country of scammers, traffickers, smugglers, brainwashers, tax defaulters, right, and bad counselors. They have taken over because young, smart people like you leave the country. If you leave the country to some criminal idiots to fool around, they will fool around. So if we are suffering because of ourselves. If you give option of genuine business houses, people have the common sense to choose between good and bad. But if they are only given bad choices, then they will take the best of the worst ones available. But if there is only one piloting school available, and if that person has supposedly a good family background, people will trust it. Right? If your own family members take you to a certain consultancy and dupes you, right, and when you don't have options, when all the television commercials are cheating you, and you don't have options, that's what you will follow, and that's what is happening. There is a lot of money in scam, and easy money, and most of the time in a politically unstable country like ours, one can get easily away with it, with some money, because there's so much money they can always bribe and fix things and even control the media to a certain extent. And otherwise, why would we become a country with highest number of women trafficking? We are a conservative society. We don't want to sell our women. It's morally wrong, it's ethically wrong, and it's legally wrong. But still, that's maximum, because everybody can wash anybody's brain here. And when you have some good people, we create bad name of them because their business will suffer. And young people like you believe in their stories and theories. So maybe a bit of critical thinking is also necessary. You want to go and check for yourself whether that's genuine or not. Somebody just puts anything out and we believe, like somebody is a rich Nepali, hangs out with Brunei king, lives in Solti, and we put them on the cover page, and we find out that they're in heavy loan. This is the job of also a lot of responsibility on the side of the media. But if somebody is feeding you crap, it's your duty not to take it. It's your responsibility also. If somebody can sell crap, they will sell crap, right? It's your responsibility to protect yourself. And unfortunately, the rule of law has been broken. And now you know why political structure stays unstable. Because if a country's rich guys make a lot of money because the country is unstable, how do they want the country to be? They want the country to be unstable. If they can get away by not paying the tax to the government, because you can influence the ministries by paying some money to some politicians, you will want to keep it like that. But the question is, a country with almost 40% population being youth, is this how we want the country to be? I don't want the country to be like this. I want a better country for myself, for my family, for my society, and for my fellow citizens. That's why I'm doing this. Right. Now the thing is, if only 10,000 youths did this, talked among themselves, discussed among themselves, the country would change. What is even worse is young people bring out magazine, and even in the school magazine, you go and interview the same idiots and smugglers who look, because they're dressed with tie and suit and they stay in a big bank as a CEO. Of course they have money, they have done these smugglings and on. They can establish a bank and they can be a CEO. Do you think they look like the villains in Hindi films? If they're smugglers, they're not going to look like the villains in the movies, It's not always that they'll have a bad face if they're a villain. They could look good, they have money, they can buy nice clothes, they can establish a company, they can look like a CEO. And if young people like you are going to put them as visionary thinkers of the country, it's not them who is duping the country, it's young people like you who is validating their positioning. That's not how we want the future of the country to be, and we have to be very discreet. It doesn't hurt to doubt people. You can doubt me also, and if I'm good, I'll come out clean. So it doesn't hurt to doubt anybody, because if that person is right, you'll come out right. If that person is wrong, you will save yourself from getting getting duped. Look at the amount of beauty contest we have in the country. There's no money in the glamour industry in Nepal. Right? So if you use that logic, if there's no money and there's still so much of investment, doesn't it sound fishy now? Right? Doesn't it sound fishy? If there's no money, why would you invest so much and continue carry it on? Maybe you could do it once or twice to see if it works or not. Right? Maybe it's an easy vending place for trafficking. There's money in trafficking. Right? There's a lot of money in trafficking. Right? So if you use your own common sense, right, which we get for free to use, you'll find these things out and you'll stay away from getting fooled. Let's not wait for that Superman to come and fix these things, you know. Let's try to be that person ourselves, to take initiatives in different sectors. Politics is a mess all over the world. There's economic crisis, there's fuel crisis all over the world. It's not just Nepal. But the question is, how many countries in the world have a larger percentage of young people who are still hopeful and optimistic and want to find solutions for the country? And we definitely are one. A few years from now, considering today, we're still in a good position. So we have a lot to hope at and a lot to be ambitious about. Thank you.
With this, we have come to the end of today's show. For feedback, contact us at youthtya@gmail.com. See you next week at the same time. Have a nice week. Namaste.